Injection Bellimore is 1H BSMT. Topic 18 Annex 2 Mandatory Regulations. Topic 19 Annex 3 Legislative Requirements. Topic 20 Annex 4 Mandatory Regulations. Topic 21 Annex 4 Legislative Requirements. Topic 22 Annex 5 Mandatory Regulations. Topic 23 Annex 5 Legislative Requirements. Topic 24 Annex 6 Mandatory Regulations. Topic 25 Annex 6 Legislative Requirements. Topic 3 LO3.2 MARPOL Annex 1 6 Mandatory Regulations and Legislative Requirements. Mandatory regulations in the context of MARPOL International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. The term mandatory regulation refers to a set of rules and standards that must be followed by the ships to ensure compliance with the conventions. These regulations are not optional. They are obligatory and binding for all ships falling under the scope of MARPOL. The mandatory regulations cover various aspects of pollution, prevention, and environmental protection in the maritime industry. Each MARPOL Annex addresses specific types of pollution and outlines regulations to prevent or minimize these pollutants. The mandatory nature of these regulations emphasizes the commitment of the international community to safeguard the marine environment and reduce the impact of shipping activities. 1. MARPOL Annex 1 Oil Pollution Prevention. Mandatory regulation focus on the prevention of oil pollution from ships, including regulations for oil tankers, oil record books, oil discharge monitoring equipment, and shipboard oil pollution emergency plans. 2. MARPOL Annex 2 Noxious Liquid Substance. Mandatory regulations address the prevention of pollution by noxious liquid substance carried in back. This includes regulations for the construction and equipment of ships, the categorization of substance, and procedures for discharge. 3. MARPOL Annex 3 Harmful Substance in Package Form. Mandatory regulations cover the prevention of pollution by harmful substance in package form. This includes labeling, packing, and documentation requirements for the transport of packaged dangerous goods. 4. MARPOL Annex 4 Sewage Pollution Prevention. Mandatory regulations focus on preventing pollution from sewage by setting standards for sewage treatment systems, discharge criteria, and the implementation of shipboard marine pollution emergency plans. 5. MARPOL Annex 5 Garbage Pollution Prevention. Mandatory regulations addresses the prevention of pollution by garbage from ships. These regulations include requirements for the disposal of various types of garbage special areas and the management of ship-generated garbage. 6. MARPOL Annex 6 Air Pollution Prevention. Mandatory regulations aim to prevent pollution from ships by setting standards for emissions of sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter. The annex also includes energy efficiency measures. Compliance with these mandatory regulations is essential for ships operators, and failure to adhere to them can result in penalties and consequences, including fines, detentions, and restrictions on ship movements. The goal is to ensure a uniform and high standards of environmental protection across the international maritime community. Legislative requirements. In the context of MARPOL International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, the term legislative requirements refers to specific laws and regulations that have been established by the contracting parties to implement and enforce the provisions of MARPOL Annexes 1 to 6. These legislative requirements are domestic laws enacted by individual countries to give effect to the international standards and obligations set out in MARPOL. 1. MARPOL Annex 1 oil pollution prevention. Legislative requirements may be include national regulations governing the construction and equipment of oil tankers, oil spill response plans, requirements for oil record books, and penalties for violations related to oil pollution prevention. 2. MARPOL Annex 2 Noxious Liquid Substance. Countries enact legislative requirements to ensure compliance with the regulations outlined in Annex 2. This may include laws related to the construction and equipment of ships carrying noxious liquid substance. Procedures for the issuance of International Pollution Prevention certificates, NLS certificates, and penalties for non-compliance. 3. MARPOL Annex 3 Harmful Substance in Package Form. Legislative requirements cover the domestic implementation of regulations related to the packing, labeling, and documentation of packaged harmful substance. Countries may establish laws to enforce proper handling, stowage, and transport of dangerous goods. MARPOL Annex 4 Sewage Pollution Prevention. Legislative requirements in the context of involved national laws that translate the standards and guidelines outlined in Annex 4 into domestic regulations. This includes laws governing the construction and use of sewage treatment system discharge criteria, and the implementation of shipboard marine pollution emergency plans. 5. MARPOL Annex 5 Garbage Pollution Prevention. Legislative requirements encompass domestic laws addressing the prevention of pollution by garbage from ships. This includes regulations on the disposal of different types of garbage, requirements for garbage management plans, and penalties for violations. 6. MARPOL Annex 6 Air Pollution Prevention. Legislative requirements related to Annex 6 involve domestic laws addressing air pollution prevention from ships. This includes regulation on sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxide emissions, the use of compliant fuels, and the implementation of energy efficiency measures. Countries as contracting parties to MARPOL are responsible for incorporating the convention's requirements into their national legal frameworks. This process involves the establishment of legislative measures that ensure effective implementation, monitoring, and enforcement of the pollution prevention standards outlined in MARPOL Annex 1 to 6. These legislative requirements contribute to the global effort to protect the marine environment from various forms of pollution originating from shipping activities.